ideas, or maybe what
At 8 p.m. in Dupobro, good evening. Welcome to News Desk, a 45 minutes of news from the News and Current Affairs Department here at the Renaissance Communications Incorporated. My name is Edwin Doro, presenting this Wednesday, September 27, 2023 editions of the news program. In the top stories we are following tonight, presidential candidate Sheikh Kuyate vowed to establish war and economic crime code in his first 100 days in office when elected as president of Liberia. Ministry of Mines and Energy halts the operations of Sino Liberia Investment, a rock crusher company in Shuffling Town, Magibi County, following a protest at the ministry on Wednesday by aggrieved property owners. A 21-year-old man is said to be on the run after allegedly raping a 6-year-old girl in Fenner, Monsualo County. In foreign development, France's ambassadors in Niger has flown out of the country a month after military rulers ordered his expulsions, according to the BBC. Those were the headlines. We will be right back after the bash of the tension with now is Johnson Batoma with the news bulletin. Good evening, Johnson.
Good evening, Dolo. Good evening to all. Presidential candidate Sheikh Kuyate said he would establish the World and Economic Crime Code in his first 100 days in office when elected as president of Liberia. Kuyate, the senior bearer of the Liberia First Movement, made a statement when he appeared as guest on the program State of the Nation. Kuyate added that the establishment of the code will be done through a legislation and all legislated or elected lawmakers will be convinced to pass the bill. The Liberia First Movement presidential candidate alleged that fundings have been provided by the United States government for the establishment of the War and Economic Crimes Court in the country. At the same time, Sheikh Kuyate said one of the reasons he resigned from the Coalition for Democratic Change was the party refusal to establish the War and Economic Crimes Code when they took power. He said the party was not created for individuals to enrich themselves, instead to give power to the people. The Ministry of Mines and Energy has halted the operations of Sino Liberia Investment, a rock crushing company in Shuffling Town, Magibi County, following a protest at the ministry on Wednesday by aggrieved property owners. Residents of downtown community in Shuffling Town, Magibi County, have over the years complained that the blasting of the rocks have damaged their homes and made it threatening for them to leave their homes or houses at night. Speaking Wednesday following a conference with the aggrieved property owners, Assistant Minister for Mines Emmanuel Swan said single investment operations permit expired since August 2023, ensuring the protesters that the company does not have any legal right to carry on blasting. Minister Swan said that the ministry has mandated the company in the communication to refill its operation site in the next 3 months. He said any attempt by the company to default the company that the ministry mandate will lead to legal action. The spokesperson of the aggrieved property owners, Emmanuel Lloyd, expressed delight over the latest action taken by the ministry, noting that residents have always anticipated such action. Lloyd lamented how residents of the community have suffered over the years with their properties damaged as a result of the blasting by Sino Liberia. Report reaching the station says a 21-year-old man has allegedly raped a 6-year-old girl. The man, William Fowler, is said to be on the run. Speaking to RCI News Wednesday, the grandmother of the survivor disclosed that the girl was tampered with following a medical test. Madam Felicia Bussard pointed out that since the incident, authorities of the Carisburg Police Detachment took statement from the family members of William Fowler, but has not been forwarded the code. She is at the same time calling on the government of Liberia to take drastic action in making sure that the perpetrator be brought to justice. The Supreme Court is expected to entertain legal argument on Thursday, September 28, 2023, into the opposition Union Party's petition for a writ of mandamus against the National Elections Commission. Thursday's hearing, according to RCI judicial correspondent, was brought as a notice assignment to all parties to appear at 11 a.m. in connection to the matter. The former ruling party's petition to the High Court alleged that the National Elections Commission have failed to have the final registration board of certified voters by location, publisher, and distribution through political parties as well as independent candidates. RCI judicial correspondent further revealed that former LDCC chair, Councillor Erin Mountain, will be part of Unity Party's legal team for Thursday argument at the Supreme Court. Despite being denied by the Supreme Court from participating in the ensuing elections, Dr. Thomas Tue, Allah's original countryman, has surfaced with an application before the same court for hearing. The High Court Wednesday confirmed to RCI judicial correspondent that Dr. Tue's legal team, headed by former Solicitor General Councillor Serena Sifos, has filed an application for a special leave before the branch of the Supreme Court consistent with Section 9, Part 1 of the Rule of the Court. Councillor Sifos' request to the court is seeking for another hearing for his client, saying there are some indicated or some issues that was not considered by the court, and such application will allow justice to be served. In civil law court, resident George Kennedy Peabody is before the Judiciary Inquiry Commission of the Supreme Court for alleged unethical conduct. This follows a complaint for Prince Canning to Chief Justice Sanayu, accusing George Peabody of using the judiciary power to take over his 14.5 lots of land situated in Fullerton on the Robertfield Highway. As a result of Prince Canning's count, Justice Yu was compelled to forward George Kennedy Peabody to the Judiciary Integrity Commission for investigation regarding the matter as provided by law. The Economic Community of West African States has pledged over 440,000 in support of the Liberian Red Cross flood response effort for Liberians who were badly affected by devastating floodings in 2022. This fund will assist 9,680 individuals, representing 1,840 families or households in vulnerable communities in Liberia. The flood crisis left Liberia amongst the hardest hit member states within the ECOWAS region. During a press briefing on Wednesday, September 27, 2023, the representative of the president of ECOWAS Commission in Liberia, Josephine Krumman, emphasized that the flooding has emerged as a pressing humanitarian issue within the West African states. Ambassador Krumman emphasized that ECOWAS is not solely focused on elections and political stability, but also committed to social interventions that address the impact of the natural disasters and other pressing social issues affecting its member states. The Environmental Justice Foundation, an international fisheries NGO in Liberia, has completed the establishment of the Collaborative Management Association in 4 of Liberia's 9 coastal counties. The deal was done in collaboration with the National Fisheries and Aquaculture Authority. It can be recalled the establishment of the Collaborative Management Association in Liberia grew out of the decision to include communities in the management of the fisheries sector. To implement the decision, the government, through the then West Africa Regional Fisheries Project, chose to empower fishery communities with the capacity to better manage local fishery resources and become active participants in the process of inclusive and sustainable development. Particularly, support was provided to community-based fishery management by working with national and local fishermen associations, facilitating their establishment and helping with bylaw development, rights recognition through policy and local authority, and empowering the local communities with skills and better knowledge. The CMA will also strive to eliminate destructive, illegal, and non-regulated fishing practices through effective enforcement of local fishing bylaws, national regulations, acts, and policies. And two persons are reported wounded following a tragic accident along the Monrovia Kakata Highway involving a vehicle and motorcycle. According to eyewitnesses, George Moses and Sa, the Korean bus was parked on the road while the driver in question was interacting with the police patrol group assigned at the number 7 checkpoint along the Kakata Highway. Our correspondent who visited the incident and scene said the tongue of the 33-year-old motorcyclist came out due to the severity of the casualty sustained. Meanwhile, residents along the Kakata Highway are calling on the Liberian National Police to remove some of the checkpoints to avoid incidents occurring at the road. In another development, over 200 residents of Carisburg district have benefited for a solar plate light distribution done by District 1 female candidate Rashida Kamara. According to Mana Kamara, the distribution was made due to request by residents to help enlighten the towns and villages within Yufkem, Bemben Town, and Children Home communities. Receiving the solar lights, the residents lauded Mana Rashida Kamara for her timely intervention and described the lighting as security for the communities. Over 5 communities-based groups and marketers in Jacksonville have endorsed the re-election bid of Moswada County District 2 Representative Jimmy Smith, presenting their respective endorsement statements Tuesday. The Nicholas Town Market Superintendent Tutu said, and Mary Kofa of the Nicholas Town United Women said their decision was prompted by the many developmental initiatives undertaken by Representative Jimmy Smith. According to them, Representative Smith has rewarded scholarships to students in the district and contributed to capacity building. As such, it is prudent to be given another term in order to continue his good works. The further said, Representative Smith has financed the construction of several markets in the district. Receiving the endorsement statement, Representative Jimmy Smith lauded the groups for the trust reposed in him, committing to continue his work across the district. He at the same time called on his supporters to remain peaceful during and after the election. The chairperson of the National Elections Commission has clarified that the delay in the printing of the founder registration board by the Commission does not in any way violate the new election laws. NEC chairperson David Brown Lasana attributed the delay in the publication of the FRR to the process of referring data from optical mark recognition to biometric and transition, she said, is time consuming. She said the FRR will be transferred to pen drafts and distributed to political parties in the coming days. Speaking Tuesday to the Commission's weekly press briefing at the headquarters of the National Elections Commission, the NEC boss assured the public that the final voter registration or the final registration rule is being printed at the NEC headquarters and will be displayed at all 2,080 precincts across the country within 24 hours before the day, addressing rumors of an increase in the FRR numbers of the 1.4 million plus registrants. Manalasana debunked the speculations as untruth. And away from Liberia, France's ambassador in Niger has flown all of the country a month after military rulers allowed his expulsion. The two countries have been close allies until President Mohamed Bazoum was ousted in July. France has refused to recognize the coup leaders and have ignored The other to withdraw its info. On Sunday, President Emmanuel Macron said Ambassador Silva Ato could leave within a day. That's the new bulletin. Is back to Erin Buckley for the continued.
So Johnson Batoma for the Bulletin of News. A regular future news desk stories we are following tonight. Presidential candidate Sheikh Kuyate vowed to establish war and economic crown code in his first 100 days in office when elected as president of Liberia. Ministry of Mines and Energy halts the operations of Sino Liberia Investment, a rock crusher company in Shuffling Town, Magibi County, following a protest at the ministry on Wednesday by aggrieved property owners. A 21-year-old man is said to be on the run after allegedly raping a 6-year-old girl in Fennel, Monkswallow County. In foreign development, France's ambassador in Niger has flown out of the country a month after military rulers ordered his expulsion, according to the BBC. Let's now taste the first development on the news program tonight. Presidential candidate Sheikh Kuyate said he will establish the war and economic crown code in the first 100 days in office when elected as president of Liberia. Kuyate, the standard bearer of the Liberia First Movement, made a statement when he appeared as guest on the program State of the Nation on Truth FM.
Every other Liberian want to be part of it, and our lawmakers we all sign it. And I can tell you, in the next 100 days, in my leadership, the first 100 days of my leadership, Liberians will overwhelmingly sign that document, and the code will be established. The good thing is, the question I've been, where do we get funding from? The United States government came up clearly 2 months ago that they have fundings for the establishment of war and economic scrum code. So the issue of money is no longer a problem. Yes, I'm the only Liberian presidential candidate in the record of our Liberian politics. I've been very consistent, calling on the government of Liberia and also indicating it in his manifesto that their justice must be given to our people, calling for the establishment of World Economic Scrum Code. And one of the reasons why I withdrew my membership for the CDC was the government failure and the party's failure to call for the establishment of World Economic Scrum Code. And Liberians, all walks of life, respect me for that, for my stance. I would have said, you know what, we have won the election. Let me take my positions as others have taken theirs. Let me enrich myself as others are now enriching themselves or have enriched themselves. I said, no, the reason for which we organize ourselves as Congress for Democratic Change was for the emancipation of the Liberian people. The party was not created as a party for self-aggrandizement. It was established for the people, to give power to the people, because power belongs to the people. But when I realized that the government was not prepared for that, that was one of the reasons why I left.
The voice of presidential candidate Sheikh Mustafa Kuyate talking about establishing the war and economic crown code in 100 days when elected as president in the October 2023 election. The Ministry of Mines and Energy has halted the operations of Sino Liberia Investment, a rock crusher company in Shuffling Town, Magibi County, following a protest at the ministry on Wednesday by aggrieved property owners. Residents of downtown community in Shuffling Township, Magibi County, have over the years complained that the blasting of the rocks have damaged their homes and made it threatening for them to leave their houses at night. Speaking Wednesday following a conference with the aggrieved property owners, Assistant Minister of Mines Emmanuel Titi Swen said Sino investment operations permit expired since August 2023, assuring the protesters that the company does not have any legal right to carry on blasting. Minister Swen said that the ministry has mandated the company in a communication to review its operation site in the next 3 months.
So the appropriate thing is to ensure that the company doesn't operate beyond the grace period within the company, and is to ensure that the activities of the company, the adverse effect it has caused on the community, be reversed to reclamation to an extent appreciable. The community major interest is to ensure that blasting does not continue because it's affecting their own, and that wouldn't continue because the company has no legal right now to continue operation because they don't have a lesson. So we have assured the company that we will not renew the lesson. The ministry stand by that, and it was re-emphasized in our communication to the company, which was also provided to them. So they are convinced that yes, we have taken the rightful action, and that is why you saw that they left. So even in the communication we wrote them, when you read the communication, there are things that the ministry with the company to do, and count 3 in the communication says that the restoration meaning to rebuild and other things, that the restoration of the site should begin in no later than 90 days after the receipt of this communication. So meaning that you saw, by law, the company can operate, and we know that there's no mining operation that does not affect the land. But after the company operation, the company has an obligation to restore the land. So we reminded them in our communication that they have refill that pit. And they should start refilling no later than 90 days, but it requires logistics to refill the pit. So we give them the period to prepare and restore, but they should start no later than 90 days. So any defiance to all of the provisions in our communication is also indicated in the communication that the ministry will be left with no option. So at the time the company went there, that area was not a populated area. The environment was suitable for quarry activity at the time because not many people were residing in that area. But right now, there's been massive development in that area. Too many homes are built. The area is highly populated. So the area at this time is not feasible for quarry activity because quarry activity requires drilling of the rock mass, using explosive to explode the rock mass and everything, and the vibration currently what makes it not feasible to happen, and because the vibration started affecting the people homes, some of the people have poor health conditions, the vibration can affect their health and all that. So sometime last year, when the community people started reporting on this thing, we took this to be a serious situation because the ministry has a responsibility to protect the residents, has to protect the investors.
The spokesperson of the aggrieved property owners, Emmanuel Law, expressed delight over the latest action taken by the ministry, noting that the residents have always anticipated such action. Law lamented how residents of the community have suffered over the years with their properties damaged as a result of the blasting by Sino Liberia investment.
Minister of Mines and Energy, Emmanuel Tidiswe, who is that concerned about how the Chinese people has treated us. And as such, he has dispatched a team immediately to make sure that the Chinese company is closed as we have always anticipated. With us is a communication that was drafted by the minister proper, and the communication did not come into our hand yesterday. And today we just got the communication indicating that the Chinese has no right to operate beyond the statutory time. And the ministry is appealing to us that we should stand down our protest action as they have already managed to get the team dispatched to make sure that the Chinese are relocated. To let you know that the minister's proper has always anticipated that the right of the people will always be protected. It's just that the senior group of company refusal to have held to the statutory closure, who has statutory closure of their operation has expired, and they have always wanted to be disgruntled. So what the minister has already said to us that going beyond this time, the senior group of company will not operate anymore, and that's why they have on to dispatch a team that will be able to make sure that the company is closed and perpetuate the aspect. What the ministry, we are law-abiding citizens. The very first thing that we want to establish here is that we have written the ministry first communication in informing them about the people this respect to the statutory portion.
Emmanuel Law is a grantor and spokesperson of property owners in downtown Shufflington community. Earlier was the voice of Assistant Minister of Mines, Emmanuel Titi Swen, talking about the closures or the ministry decision that to extend the operation permit of Sino Liberia Investment Company, a agricultural company in Shufflington. Over 5 Community-based groups and marketers in Johnsonville have endorsed the re-election bid of Monroe County District No. 2 Representative Jimmy Smith. Presenting their respective endorsement statement Tuesday, the Nicholstown Market Superintendent Tutu Sie said, and Mary Kufa of the Nicholstown United Women Group said their decision was prompted by the many developmental initiatives undertaken by Representative Smith. According to them, Representative Smith has awarded scholarships to students in the district and contributed to capacity building. As such, it is prudent to be given another term in order to continue his good work.
So our honorable man, the women of Leicester Market say to you, thank you for the past. We know what you did to me. When you were stranded at the time, you came to our rescue. I said thank you. When you won the election, you came to tell them thank you. And we are here again to carry you. We know you are able to do it. And you will do it. And you will go all the way, all the way.
In his life.
Receiving the endorsements, Representative Jimmy Smith lauded the groups for the trust reposed in him, committing to continue his work in the district if re-elected. Well, at this point, we will now turn over to Naomi Tapia, who is prettily seated to bring us the Passion Live polls on Newsdesk.
Good evening, Edwin. Good evening, everyone. Minister of Finance and Development Planning, Chest Ackley Samuel Toy has lauded Defense Post Minister Zuka Wissing for his astuteness that is leading to progress of some sporting institutions. Speaking when the Chess Federation presented recently won laurels in Ghana during the second Accra Classic tournament. Hosted by the West African Chess Academy, Minister Tour disclosed that under the leadership of Minister Wilson, there are numerous improvements in the sporting sectors, something he asserted he wants to see being extended to the Lone Star. He continued that negotiations with some partners are ongoing for assistance in buttressing the government's sports developmental initiative as she pledged increment in budget for sports in the country.
Under your leadership, presidency of His Excellency, great things are happening that never happened. I'm glad that you received us here. With our combined cooperation in this space, we're glad to receive this. And even though you have presented it to me to hold it, it belongs to you. You have winning trophies. You want this trophy team to extend to news also. Yesterday we were talking about chess, and he said about 1,000 goals. And carry the chess program to the next level. We're working with some funders who have agreed that they can support the chess federation in national competition. Some companies, negotiating with them, they say, look, chess is something that we play too back on. So we would like to be part of the chess school program, legal education. People are willing to. So we're gonna get whole thing yesterday. You somebody yesterday hold it 3 hours yesterday. So it's a wonderful game. We for those kids. Thank you for the kind of way you're handling the program.
Meanwhile, Minister Wilson praised the Chess Federation for the historic win in Ghana and vowed the ministry's unwavering support to the Federation, irrespective of challenges because of tangibles coming from the Federation.
The seats. Well, today marks
another historic day in the history of chess in Liberia for the Ministry of Youth and Sports and the government at large. That despite some challenges we have in winning trophies through our traditional sports, but our intellectual sport, we have to recognize that, like the speakers said, chess is a game that I know back in the days when we played in rural communities, but today, under this government, the immense support of the Ministry of Finance, chess has taken over lots of. Also, remember serving well last year, hosted first international chess conference in Liberia. And so you all have done tremendously well to keep Liberia on the path to make history for yourselves and for the country. And we will continue to support this federation. We all see the tangible coming from the federation. And you cannot argue against success. And so you have proven to all that they need to do more for you. Thankfully, yes. This identical sport is the belly of the Ministry of Finance. So that is why when we see communication for chess, we head on in with all urgency. Again, with the Minister of
Morocco will host the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. The Confederation of African Football has announced a joint East African bid from Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania has also won the rights to hold the 2027 tournament. Morocco replaced Guinea, who was stripped of the tournament in October last year because of concerns about infrastructure and facilities. Zambia in a joint Nigeria-Benin bid were also in the running for 2025, but they agreed to withdraw in order to allow Morocco to prove its worth in the hope it will increase the chances of Africa hosting the World Cup. Morocco is jointly bidding for the 2030 World Cup with Spain and Portugal. Patrice Motsepe, president of organizers CAF, said out of the options for both tournaments who have made Africa proud. He added that the decisions had been based on the level of infrastructure made available by base, including facilities, accommodation, and hospitals. Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania's selection represents the first-time nations from the Council for East and Central Africa Football Associations, CAFA, will stage the tournament since Ethiopia in 1976. And finally, the Ukrainian Association of Football says it will boycott any UEFA competition Russia are allowed back into. On Tuesday, UEFA said Russia can re-enter European under-17 competitions for the first time since the country's invasion of Ukraine 19 months ago. But the UAF called the reinstatement groundless and added the decision tolerates Russia's aggressive policy. We strongly urge UEFA to review this decision, the UAF said. UEFA, European football's governing body, said boys and girls should not be punished for the actions of others. The Football Association disagrees with UEFA's decision and says England will not play Russia if joined against them. That's all from our sports desk.
Appear for the Passion of Life Sports, a regular feature on News Desk that continue with more development on the new program tonight. Two persons are reported wounded following a tragic accident along the Monrovia-Kakata Highway involving a vehicle and a motorcycle. According to eyewitnesses George Moses and Sasa, the Korean bus was parked on the road while the driver in question was interacting with the police patrol group assigned at the number 7 checkpoint along the Kakata Highway. Our correspondent who visited the scene said the trunk of the 33-year-old motorcycle came out due to the severity of the casualties sustained. Here is eyewitnesses George Moses and Sasa.
But what I met on the scene was car stopping center of the road. The police looking at the car stopping on the yellow line and taking money from the driver while another motorcycle is behind. And the police are supposed to be doing that. When they stop the car, let the car go on the side.
You're not supposed to be stopping on the road. Driver supposed to pass. Motorbike supposed to pass. When you stop the man, you want money from them. Let it back aside. You go to them and take what you want from them. He was behind the his car was there where he was parked. The police being run by carrying the driver to Tusa and leaving the other man bleeding on the ground and say the man shouldn't enter in the car. They behave wrong. They was not to do it. The public want to know the police was doing what? Was demanding something from the driver or wanted something from them. They stopped the driver. While talking, that's how they make it into the car. They stopped the driver. They opened the door. While talking to the driver, the motor was making the driver. Is that right? And that bouncing. Yeah, and that bouncing the driver instantly.
In another development, over 200 residents of Caribsbad District have benefited from a solar panel light distribution done by District Number 1 female Representative Kennedy Rashida Kamara. According to Mana Kamara, the distribution was made due to requests made by residents to help in lighting their towns and villages within youth camp, Bent Town, and children home communities.
Okay, so on that note, we told you people earlier that the last time we're here and you requested for something, right? Now, the Honorable told you that we're going to look and see what we can do. Just left it hanging and kept it in suspense. But we have been thinking, and I'll call almost all of the numbers that I got are high here. I've been calling these numbers. Unfortunately, I never got on up here. Only today I was lucky to get, I think, the cheerleader number. So here we are. And this will not be the end. We'll continue to do more after October 10th because we know we are already victorious.
The voice of beneficiaries of the solar light distribution by District Number 1 Representative Kennedy Rashida Kamara earlier. Also, the voice of a representative from the office of the Kennedy Rashida Kamara. Report reaching the station says a 21-year-old man has allegedly raped a 6-year-old girl in Fennel, Monkswado County. The man, William Fowler, is said to be on the run. Speaking to RCR News Wednesday, the grandmother of the victim disclosed that the girl was tampered with following a medical test.
My 6-year-old daughter called me by once and William Father.
So at what time we have
On the 11 of this month, 6 p.m.
you care to tell us
What to the horse? I was in the living room, the lady get on the bow to the bow. Wow, go for now. I say, what blessing? And the lady said, blessing to Hannah, clear horse. I said, go for blessing. Before the lady go, say, blessing, mama. I say, you must go. Before the lady go, get us, she was not to her say. I asked her, blessing, what happened to you? Mama can't eat. Say, mama, I want to eat. Oh, 2 apples coming out. I said, but what happened to you? She said, mama, I know. I said, you down. What happened to you? She down. That way. What you wear to you? In our big town, we go look at her now. That eating, she was not to her say. I said, yeah, my people, yeah, cow, yeah, people, yeah, cow. Before they check the horse, we were feeling living the horse. They come, they people tell the car, they were actually, I would carry the leg here to hold her with me. When we carry the leg here, then the doctor check the leg here. Doctor said, we're not able to be too heavy, but we'll put any ammonia to say to GFK. That she had the same auto GFK. She spent 1 week, 4 days in GFK hospital.
was there any result about
The hospital never gave her any result. She told us in the hospital. They say they have you when they rush a lady to the hospital and go to the police station and make a report.
and which of the police station are we talking about?
Crazy police station. The police say we can't get tomorrow. They never can see the next day I go by there. I made a report. They say can someone take statement from where I came and statement. The next day before they can't get the take statement from the It told statement for the man that who they walk, then get it, I hot, I say that I wear, I don't get it, I sister son. So they told them, get to the police can say, go sit down, when I say statement, we get on fire. But they say, we'll catch a board and we know where to do. And every day they go parent, they can go to the police station. I know where they can go there for. I call the police, they money, I ask them, they say, the person we can go there every day, I go talk to the man, say, all we doing, we're looking for the ball. I say, well, the people looking for the ball every day. Sitting out in front of me, my house. When the children in school, all the children in school, they have 11-year-old child in the world, they have 5-year-old child in the world, and other in school, and they cannot pay they and my 6-year-old man, they turn on in school, they get serious. Then he say, oh, they go to the police station to do what? Then they looking for the ball at the police station, they will look for the ball. Say, I to him, my wife.
Madame Felicia Bosia is a mother of a 6-year-old infant who was reportedly raped by a 21-year-old man, William Fowler, in Ferndale, Monkswado County. Despite being denied by Supreme Court from participating in the ensuing elections, Dr. Thomas Tuer, alias original countryman, has surfaced with another application before the same court for hearing. The High Court Wednesday have confirmed to RCR judicial correspondent that Dr. Tuer legal team hindered that is headed by former Solicitor General Serena Sifor, has filed an application for a special leave before the bench of the Supreme Court consistent with Section 9, Part 1 of the Rule of Court. Councillor Sifor's request to the court is seeking for another hearing for his client, saying there are some unintended issues that was not considered by the court, and such application will allow justice to be served. Our judicial correspondent further revealed that as a result of Dr. Thomas Stewart lawyers' accounts to the High Court, the matter has been assigned for hearing on September 28, 2023. And in more judicial news, the Supreme Court is expected to entertain legal argument on Thursday, September 28, 2023, into the opposition United Party petition for a writ of mandamus against the National Elections Commission. Thursday's hearing, according to our RCR judicial correspondent, was through a notice assignment to all parties to appear at 11 a.m. in connection to the matter. The former ruling party's petition to the High Court alleged that the National Election Commission has failed to have the final registration rule of certified voters, location, publishers, and distribution to political parties as well as independent candidates. Our judicial correspondent further revealed that former LACC chair Councillor Edwin Martin will be part of the Unity Party's legal team for Thursday argument at the Supreme Court. Well, listener, this is how we come to the end of this Wednesday, September 27 edition of the program News Desk, a 45 minutes news production from the News and Current Affairs Department here at the Renaissance Communications Incorporated. Thanks to all of our reporters and correspondents who made this edition of the news program a success. Thanks to our affiliate radio station also carry this news live on their respective radio stations. Just before we go, presidential candidate Sheikh Kuyate vows to establish war and economic crime code in his first 100 days in office when elected as president of Liberia. Ministry of Mines and Energy hopes the operations of Sino Liberia Investment, a Rakosha company in Shuffling Town, Makibi County, following a protest at the ministry on Wednesday by the aggrieved property owners. A 21-year-old man is on the run after allegedly raping a 6-year-old girl in Fender, Monkswado County. In foreign development, France's ambassador in Niger has flown out of the country a month after military rulers ordered his expulsion, according to the BBC. Gopo Sangar Sarah control and produce a sound. Mayan Torbin has been behind the camera doing all of the technical work. My name is Edwin Dodo. I have been the presenter.
when it comes to communication in Liberia, Orange is number one.
Orange is the best. Orange is the best. Oh, Orange is the best.
Orange is the best.
Strongest network, widest coverage,
Orange is the best.
fastest internet speed.
Orange is the best.
People, Orange is the best. Yes, Orange is the best.
Lavakitie, Naratama, please woo. Company Guinea, that's a Giboga Orange, Topaga number 1. Swing it.
Company is my Orange. I don't got the best.
Orange will want you the telephone on phone.
Reliable, trusted, and dependable.
Orange is about 7.
Yeah, Orange is wrong.
Orange is the best.
It's all about what matters to you. Orange.